Right.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope you liked that little intro there. That's a little weekday project that I did. Little quick intro. I feel like we need to spice it up a bit, but welcome back. This is episode number 26, Good Old Hockey Podcast. Gally, we got some fireworks coming up here soon. Tight playoff race, some college hockey drama. Sidney Crosby hitting 40 goals. We got some crazy stuff coming up ahead. I mean, we've got 8 days by the time this comes out. We got 8 days till the playoffs, and I can't be more excited. I'm excited this year. Some good
Oh,
hockey.
yeah.
But before we get into that, how was your weekend?
Weekend was pretty good. I did a decent amount of things. I went, it was one of the weekends I went out to the bars decent amount. I went to Meridian and Boise. Meridian on Friday night and Boise
Damn.
on Saturday night. My company had a award show for advertising for the city of
Nice.
Boise, so went to that. That was pretty cool. Lots of company sponsored drinking and
Mhm.
events and whatnot. So
Okay.
it was a pretty good pregame, but yeah, ended up going downtown Boise. It was a good time. Downtown Meridian was always a good time, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah, man, it was kind of a degenerate weekend. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
but yeah, had a good weekend though. How
Yeah.
about you?
It's pretty decent. Let's see, Friday, we actually downloaded Monopoly on the PlayStation, and we're ripping some Monopoly. Got pretty boring. Not boring, but I could tell everyone was a little bit out of it towards the end. Saturday, though, went to End Zone. Had a good night. Definitely called
You
it early,
you
though.
yeah, you almost came downtown.
I was so
Stoked.
close, dude. Ugh. That wouldn't have been good if I made it downtown, honestly. For the bank account and just me in general. That was like, when I was texting you about going, I looked at my phone and it was like 11:30, and I'm like, "Holy shit, like, this is way too early." And, yeah, would have been bad, but stayed in. But we do definitely need to go sometime, whether it's I mean, I'm down for this weekend. I didn't do anything this last
Yeah.
weekend, so
Yeah, we'll
figure it
we'll
out.
we'll see. I also speaking of bank accounts and whatnot, I lost some money on NC State. That was
Ooh,
a tough
ouch.
pill to swallow. And of course Bama. So
Yeah,
fade my picks, whatever I'm picking. At
yeah.
this time this comes out, I actually have Purdue spread. So we'll see if that hits. Third time's a
Okay.
charm.
Yeah,
Third time's a charm, especially for the final four. So we'll see.
yeah. Yeah, we'll see, I guess. But, um, yeah, we got basketball. We're recording this on Monday, so we got basketball a little bit later tonight. But then it turns into full hockey, which is what we'll get into right now.
Yeah.
Jumping right into a little bit of coast to coast, just talking shop before playoffs. We had some, good storylines. Sidney Crosby, just hit 40 goals the other night, which I didn't know this, but between him, Wayne Gretzky, and Mario Lemieux, the other two, Lemieux and Gretzky, did not hit past 40 goals over the age of 30. And now Sid has done, I think he's got, what is this, season number 4 of 40 goal seasons? I don't know. But he, yeah,
Yeah. No,
Sid,
that's crazy, man. I think
yeah.
Sidney Crosby is definitely one of the best players of all time.
Mhm.
I feel like this sort of statistic, I mean, at 36 to put up 40 goals is impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know if you said that, but yeah, Lemieux hit 50 goals at 34 years old, which is insane. I mean,
Oh, did he really?
his predecessor for the Pens,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's kind of surprising that Gretzky didn't hit over
Yeah.
40 after 30 years old. But yeah, I mean, Sidney Crosby's he's gonna be in the league for a while. I feel like he's gonna play. I mean, he has 3 cups to his name.
Mhm.
He's got Olympic gold, World Championship gold, I think too, World Junior gold, um, World Cup of Hockey gold too. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the most coveted players and successful players of all time. And shit, I mean, the Pittsburgh Penguins were in such a dumpster fire when he
Yep.
first was drafted there and came on. Even his first season, they were really bad. So it's pretty awesome to see what he's done with that franchise. And I feel like I feel like the city of Pittsburgh's so much behind their hockey team. I feel like the Pirates probably lack a little bit in that popularity. I'd say the Penguins are
Yeah.
probably second behind the Steelers
Behind
and
the
the state of
Steelers, yeah.
Pittsburgh, which I mean, big part of that's probably Crosby, so
Yeah.
I
No,
think it's pretty
100%.
awesome. And I mean, I don't know if he's, you know, top 5 yet, but going towards the end of his career, I think that there's a very good chance. I mean, he could crack that top 3, even
Yeah.
possibly top 2. I don't know about that though. What's your take on that?
Crosby at 3, Lemieux at 2, Gretzky at 1.
Damn,
You
right
disagree with
now
that?
too?
Yep.
I'd have to disagree with that right now. I still think Yager and Gordie Howe, and fuck,
Better than
even
Sid?
even I mean, even Bobby Orr too. I mean, Bobby Orr changed the game for
He did.
defensemen.
He did.
Gordie Howe changed the whole
The
sport of
game,
hockey.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's and talk about not aging. I mean, that guy played into his close. I think he played 50 years old, 51 years old, or something like
He
that,
did.
like in the NHL, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
And then same with Yager. I mean, still playing to this day. And
Yeah.
Yager was on top of the league for like almost 2 decades. I mean, in the 90s and 2000s, he was like putting points up. I mean, he was unbelievable in a way Yager did
He
change the
was.
game too. So I don't think he's top 5 for me yet, but I think
Sid
Crosby will get there. I mean, yeah, just because you gotta
think
look at the
about who he
legacy.
think about
I
his
know.
legacy up to the like, I know his career's not over yet, so it's hard to give him his flowers at that time yet for number 3, but, I mean, I don't know. I don't think Yager I mean, he played in it's hard because like, Gordie Howe and Yager, they both played in the league for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they're gonna have crazy points and stats, and yeah, Yager's 2 overall like, 2nd overall most points, but a lot of that has to do with how many seasons he played, and yes, that is a part of how good you are, but Sidney Crosby is I think he's better than Ovechkin, just as an overall player. Goal
Yeah,
scorer, that's a different
100%.
story. Way different story. Ovi's the greatest goal scorer ever. He's like he's gonna break Gretzky's record, but Crosby as an overall player, I think sits at number 3 for me.
I just think it's hard to as
It
11th
is.
place of all time in points, it's hard to say
His
someone
career's not over
is
yet though.
is is top 3. I know. I think eventually Crosby could even be top 2.
Ooh,
Um,
I could see that.
yeah, I
Past
mean,
Lemieux.
eventually I think that he could be top 2. Just his play IQ and his playmaking ability is
Yeah.
and also very defensive too, which
Yep.
I feel like, Gretzky, Lemieux lacked. I mean, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
Gordie Howe lacked defense at all.
No.
Yager maybe a little bit, but I mean, it's hard to compare these
It
players
is.
because
It
there's
really is.
40, 50,
Yeah.
even 60 years between these players in terms of, when they were playing, but yeah, I feel like still he hasn't maybe cracked that 5 spot for me, but, yeah, I mean, no disrespect though. I love Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby's one of the biggest
Yeah.
reasons I got into hockey. He had such a big buzz around him, like in around 2007, 2008, and I remember seeing him
Mhm.
on Sports Illustrated Kids. I was like, "Dude, this guy's legit." And
Yeah.
then watching him, I was like, "This guy's even more legit." Seeing the
Yeah.
documentaries about the Penguins and shit.
Yeah.
So, he's a legend, and I forever will love Sid. I mean, and on top of that, I mean, I think the biggest thing about him is he's such a good leader. Um,
He
he's
is.
he's been in the league for so long, and I feel like since he's been in the league, he's been coaching his teammates. He's been just such a good
Yeah.
leader, like incredible. So
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's like you said, it's tough to compare. His career's also not over yet. Um, but I mean, it's kind of like I don't know with McDavid. Obviously, he's too young in his career to say where he's at on the leaderboard, but just with his skill alone, he's the greatest hockey player to have ever played the game. But
yeah,
that's because of skill. But Gretzky was miles above everyone else. And I think Sid was kind of like that. The unfortunate thing with Sydney though was that he was hurt for a lot of his prime
big
years,
time.
which affects it.
Dude, I think if he wasn't hurt, he'd probably be
Yeah.
top 5 in points. I mean,
Yeah.
those were 2-ish years. He missed a significant amount of time, and
Yep.
especially in his prime, like you're saying, if he had those 2 years back, um, I mean, those could potentially be 100-point seasons. So,
Yep.
yeah, I think that's a really good point. And Yeah, I mean, it's debatable, but
It
I
is.
do feel like just I got to give respect to the
Yeah.
elders
Yeah.
that
No, you
have
know what?
played
You're
their
not.
whole career
Yeah. I don't
and
yeah. I mean, I disagree with you, but I don't hold it against you because I mean, I understand. Like, that's a fair point. I think, Bobby Orr, all those guys, Yager, Gordie Howe are great players. But that's just what I think. But we'll move on because we're not going to move each other's, not going to change each other's
I
mind.
could talk about Sid forever though.
Yeah, no, we could. But we also had we're switching gears a little bit out of the NHL and into college hockey. We do have the Frozen Four coming up this week. If you're listening
Oh
to this on
yeah.
Wednesday, it's tomorrow, 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Central Time. And what the other one's 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. Central Time um, for the other one. So make sure you go watch those. But before we get into that, I got to defend my man Will Smith really quick.
Well, first of all,
So
we should talk about our bracket.
bracket,
It could
yes,
become
it
I mean,
could.
I don't think it's perfect right now, but the
Yeah,
finals could be BC versus BU, which I think would be such a good game.
I think so too.
I mean, BC versus Michigan, that's that second game, and then BU versus Denver. I'm excited for tomorrow just because I mean those are going to be two lights out games. I'm so excited for them. But it would be pretty
Yeah,
sweet if we did guess that
yeah.
finals right. I mean, that'd be a good
Mhm.
start to predicting, and
Oh yeah,
we'll see if we can figure it out some way next year, some crafty, creative way. We are going to be doing a bracket challenge for this
yes,
Frozen Four because
yeah,
I scanned across the internet. There's nothing. There is
yeah,
nothing. So we're going to do something like this. Maybe it's going to be tickets to the next Frozen Four. Maybe it's going to
mhm,
be something as the
yeah,
prize. But
yep,
we're going to try to get the wheels turned on this because this is a
yeah,
good opportunity for us to connect to you hockey fans out there and get
yep,
this official bracket challenge
yep,
going for the Frozen Four.
for real. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I'd be excited honestly. BU versus BC. It'd be a rematch of the Hockey East tournament.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it'd be a good game. It's one game. They won in championship game for Hockey East, but could be a different story after that.
Yeah.
But
100%. Yeah,
um,
sorry for pump the brakes on that. I just wanted to
no,
touch a little bit on
yeah,
the bracket challenge
yep,
and our perfect,
yep,
potentially
perfect.
finals
Yeah,
matchup. So
yeah. No, it could come true. We'll see. I think we had BC winning, if I remember correctly,
I
or the
think we
the
did.
coin picks.
I think it was a coin flip.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows? But go watch 2 episodes ago. We have it on there if you want to fact check us. Um, that being said, we also got news this week, pretty much right after we actually released the pod, I think, or maybe it's Friday. I don't know, but they released the 3 people left in contention for the Hobie Baker Award. Hobie Baker Award is essentially the MVP for college hockey, and
Heisman.
yeah, Heisman, pretty much same thing. But there's 3 names on there, and one being Jackson Blake from University of North Dakota. He had 60 points, 40 games. Great. Awesome. Jason Blake's son, and he is a sophomore this year. Other one, Macklin Celebrini out of Boston University. If you don't know his name by now, what are you doing? He had 32 goals as a rookie, 64 points, and 37 games. And then we also, out of BC, got Cutter Gauthier. Now, he had 64 points, 39 games, and he led the NCAA with 37 goals as a
And he had a
freshman.
controversial trade to Anaheim too.
He did. I forgot about that. He was behind that whole yeah. Gosh, I forgot about that. Yeah, so those are the 3 in the top. Now, I've been sitting on this for a while now because we haven't recorded, but Will Smith, I think, kind of got snubbed. I understand, but Will Smith was leading the NCAA in points. He had 69 points, so he was, I want to say, like 4 or 5 points ahead of everyone. 39 games. Also a freshman. Um, I understand Cutter Gauthier, he's leading the league in goals. 37, was it 37 goals in 39 games, almost a
Yeah,
goal per game. It's
that's
impressive.
crazy.
Um, and then Macklin Celebrini, you can't really leave him off, but you kind of can't. I mean, from what I read, it seems like they were trying to kind of like get off they didn't want it to be just a Hockey East, BC versus and BU final 3. They had to throw in a little West Coast, West Side University of North Dakota in there. Um, so it's hard to say because, like, do you leave off Cutter Gauthier, who led the league in goals, or do you leave off the guy who's leading in points? I don't know.
Yeah.
And It's tough. I also think Will Smith does play on a line that is very stacked, or just he plays on a great line with him, Ryan Leonard, and Gabe Perreault. They're all, I want to say, like top 10 point per game guys in the NCAA. So I understand it's hard to just give it to him, but he led the league in points. I don't know. It's
Yeah, I think it's an absolute snub.
yeah,
This pisses me off that he didn't make it just because he won leads the whole league in points as a rookie, though,
yeah,
as a rookie to do that. And I know two of these players on here are first year freshmen.
yep,
So I mean, to be fair, but I mean to put a sophomore with, 9 less points than him, um, that's ridiculous. I think
yeah,
that he got left out, and I think it would have been kind of weird that it was all Boston University, Boston College players. But to be fair, I mean, Will Smith is an incredible player, and he's one of the best player. I mean, easily top three,
yeah,
in the NCAA, and I mean, he could be gone next year. So
yeah,
I think it's kind of ridiculous that they left him out. I know there's been some pretty famous Heisman snubs, and
yeah,
this is definitely going up there for like a pretty big snub for a college sport award.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, it makes me mad, but you know, I mean, I I don't know, man. I mean,
yeah.
it's
No, it's tough.
ridiculous.
It is.
I
It's
see
like,
their point. I see their point with
yeah,
putting a UND player in there. Like UND, that division's very hard to
yeah,
play in, and to
yep,
put 60 points in 40 games in, of course, you got a hockey name too.
yeah,
I feel it's probably a little bit hard to leave him off,
yeah.
but I do
Just
think
put
that's a
4
snub.
then. Put 4. Like, what's I mean, I don't know. I guess they have to narrow it down to 3 people,
They
but
should have it like the Heisman though. I mean,
yeah,
I know
like,
they've done 3 historically, like, in all previous years, but this scenario right here, I mean, I just feel like it's this year is probably one of the tightest Hobie Baker Award,
yeah,
like, races I've ever seen.
yeah,
I mean, all 4 of these I mean, I think it's between Will Smith, Cutter, and Macklin. I
yeah.
think Jason Blake's kind of I don't wanna say like a Make-A-Wish, like,
Oh my
combination, but,
god.
like,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think he is necessarily deserving of it as much as
yeah,
Will Smith. I mean, to do that as a freshman, you can't leave that off the ballot, no matter who your teammates are, no matter what new conference you play in.
no,
And he's a highly coveted player. I mean, if you're gonna have the argument, oh, Macklin Celebrini, he's first overall draft pick. Well, I mean, Will Smith was a top 5 draft pick
yeah,
too. But not only that, I mean, he's 18 years old. I mean, to be doing
yeah,
that at 18 years old, whoever your teammates are, that's an impressive feat. So
yeah.
I think that's BS
No,
that
it
they
is.
left him off. And yeah, come on, Hobie Baker, uh,
Yeah, committee.
nominee committee. I don't
Yeah.
even know who like who
Yeah, I
picks
don't know
that
either.
stuff. So
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. Like, I'm pretty biased. I love, obviously, the Sharks. You can see behind me, but, um, I don't know. It's just weird that, a player that I understand the circumstances, though. I mean, it's tough to say, like, "Oh, yeah, he led the league in points," but look at the line he's with. Like, put I mean, you can't just put anyone there, but I don't know. The leading goal scorer, 37 goals. It's impressive. You can't leave that off. But you also can't leave off the leading scorer, but you also can't put 2 BC, like, why does that matter? Like, if they're good, they're good.
yeah,
Put them in the
I
final
mean,
3.
I mean, I would even probably put Will Smith ahead of Macklin Celebrini, in my opinion.
I would too, yeah.
But I mean, out of any of these 3, Jackson Blake,
Yeah,
100%. I mean, I don't
yeah.
think that. I mean, no offense to him. He's a
No.
great player.
Yeah,
He's a excellent player out there, and he's
yep.
UND's best player, probably one of the best player in the NCHC. But um, I do think Will Smith is deserving of that spot. And hey, maybe this might light a fire to him and be like, fuck the NCAA. We're gonna go to the NHL next year. So hopefully that
Yeah.
happens because I'd like to
Or
see him
go
in
and
the
win a
NHL.
what's it called? The title. Go, uh, play BU again, play Macklin Celebrini in the finals again. Because, like, Will Smith in the Hockey East Championship, he scored a hat trick on them to secure that victory for them. So, I don't know, we'll see how the Frozen 4 plays out. Maybe that'll light a fire under him, and he's like, "Fuck this." I don't know. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I will say we'll say respect to all of these nominees,
Yeah.
but who do you
Yeah.
think your pick is to win it?
Um, I mean, 37 goals is impressive. in one season. I would
Yeah,
give it to Cutter.
I would give it to Cutter too. I mean,
Unless the
37. I mean,
Sharks
just
win the lottery draft, then I'd give it to Macklin Celebrini.
yeah. I mean, I think Maglin Celebrini had an excellent season, lights out season. But
Yeah.
I mean, compared to Cutter Gauthier scoring those 37 goals, I mean, I just feel like it's a hard argument to
Yeah.
be against Macklin Celebrini
Yeah.
or against Cutter Gauthier. Pardon me.
Yeah.
Um, over Cutter Gauthier, whatever. I don't
Yeah.
even. I'm messing up my words right now, but
It's all right. But we'll move on from the NCAA playoffs, move into NHL playoffs. We have one of the tightest races I've seen in a while.
big time.
There are currently, as of when we are speaking, at 6:52 on April 8th, there are 5 teams in contention right now for the 3rd spot in the Metro and also another wild card spot. Lightning have it locked down. They're making the playoffs. They're, I think, 10 points ahead of the whoever's second wild card right now. But as of right now, again, right now, we've got the Islanders at 85 points in that 3rd spot in the Metro. Detroit is at 84 points. They are in that second wild card spot. And then the Penguins, Capitals, and Flyers are all at 83 points. So this is a race where, I mean, majority of those teams, Flyers, Caps, Pens, is Detroit in the Metro or are they Atlantic? They're Atlantic, right?
I think Detroit's in the Metro. Oh no, they're in the Atlantic. Pardon me.
Okay.
God, it's so weird. Detroit's in the Atlantic.
I know. Well, they were always a West Coast team, which is weird in itself. But yeah, so Detroit is fighting for that. They're the only ones that can get that wild. They can only get the wild card spot while everyone else can fight for that 3rd spot in the Metro. But man, like, I mean, a lot of these teams too, we're looking at the Flyers, kind of fell off because they were sitting second.
Dude, same with the
Capitals,
Pens. Like
Penguins
trade
were,
deadline, we were
yeah.
like, Pens are making it.
Yeah.
Like throw the towel in. I mean, I know the Caps and Flyers are really close at the trade deadline. The Red Wings are in the mix. Too.
there's
But
not much.
Penguins. I mean, holy shit, coming out of nowhere. 6-2-2 in their last 10 games, 4-game win streak. They're playing right now. Last time I checked, it was 1-1. I mean, everyone's going to know the score of this game, but as we film right now, they're playing the Leafs. End of second, still 1-1. So really hope, I mean, from their perspective, they really want to win that game because it's going to put them in a lot better situation. If they do win that game, they're going to slot into that. I think they should slot into that 3rd spot in the Metro. At least a playoff spot. So
they will be.
Wins. And what a turnaround though. I mean, I feel like they traded Gensel and they're like, dude, like we're not making the playoffs, but like Sidney Crosby was like, never mind. Something that I saw that was very interesting today about Crosby, which I'm just like, dude, he's such a fucking beauty. Is someone was like, some reporter asked him about the solar eclipse, which was
I was going to bring this up.
And he said, like, no, I don't pay attention to that because I got my pregame nap. And it's like, Sid means business. He's going to, I think the Pens have a very good shot of making the playoffs. Whether that's going to be in the second wild card or if that's going to be that 3 spot, I think the Pens should make it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as a Sharks fan, we do have their 1st round pick this next year. So I don't, as a Sharks fan, really want them to make the playoffs. But as a hockey fan, I want to see them push for the playoffs. See Sidney Crosby in the playoffs is always a good time. It's always good to watch. I think it'd be cool to kind of see maybe the Penguins in that 3rd spot and the Caps get that wild card spot. So we've got Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen that in a while with both of them in the playoffs. I feel like maybe 21, 22 season?
Yeah, it's been a couple seasons, but also like, dude, the Wings. I mean, the Wings got Kane this year, and that would be a story itself. And then
again,
somehow if the Flyers got in, I mean, they've been like everyone's been saying, oh, they weren't going to make it all year, and then they're in a playoff spot, and they're like, oh, maybe they actually might make it, but they're fucking falling right now. They're sliding. There's all sorts of internal troubles. I'd be surprised to see if the Flyers make it. Torts is running that team like a dictator this season. So
I bet. Yeah. Sounds like him. But yeah, I think I don't know. I would love to see Sidney Crosby play. I don't know who are your picks for that third spot in the Metro and the wild card spot? Who do you want to see slotted in right there?
Like the Islanders are looking decent with 5 games left.
Mhm.
I mean, they have to kind of mess up, and they're in a 4-game win streak as of when we speak right now. I like to see the Penguins at that 3 spot. I think that would be a pretty good game. Gensel would play against the Penguins against his old team. I think that would be a hell of a matchup. Canes versus Penguins would be sweet. And then it's hard for me to see the Islanders not making it though. That's the
Yeah.
thing about it. And see if the Pens were going to slide into that second spot. I mean, they'd be playing the Bruins or Rangers, which would be a crazy game. But I mean, it's so hard to say. Hockey, especially this type of shit, it's like I have no clue. And
Yeah.
I feel like I'd say that about the playoffs, but because like you still got the Red Wings in the mix too, who are
Yeah.
not playing that bad of hockey right now. Um, I don't think the Capitals are gonna make it. I think the Flyers are just kind of falling too hard right now. And there's like I said, there's lots of issues right now with them. So I think out of these teams though, I think the Pens have gotta make it somehow. I think it's between the Pens, Wings, and Islanders are gonna make it out of those. I mean, it's gonna be between them
Yeah.
because like I said, the Caps and Flyers kind of
Yep.
shaky for me. So
Yeah. I agree. We'll move on to the next topic, but I do have to go to the bathroom really quick, so I'm gonna pause this. All right, up next, we've got the New York Rangers. They right now are looking pretty hot, pretty good. We talked about Alexi Lafreniere last episode. Um, and he's still been turning it on, I feel like.
he
Um,
has.
he's been definitely a pivotal player for them, which they've needed out of him. And I've thought a little bit more about my comments, and I don't know that I would classify him as a bust. I think he's still young. He's 22 years old. He's younger than I am, um, and playing in the NHL. So it's tough to say, I mean, he is a first overall draft pick, but besides the point, I take back my statement that he's a bust. I think we could see some production out of him next season. He's playing on a good team though, but him and Panarin have been pretty nasty together. So as a fan of the game, I hope he keeps it up next season, especially and for the playoffs. But Rangers right now are looking pretty good. What do you think?
I'm gonna still stand that he's a bust right now.
Okay.
I think he has 56 points in 78 games, which is great. It's a good season.
Yeah.
It's gonna come down to what he does next season. I
Yep.
think if he has a similar season, I'd still classify him as a bust. But I mean, his past seasons, he's had 39 points
Yeah.
last season, 31 points the season before, and 21 his rookie season, which is pretty dang low. That's like Patrick Steffen, that first overall pick. I mean, I don't know if he's as bad as like Yakupov, but
No.
he's on. I don't think he's gonna get out of the league like that sort of bus,
No.
but I don't think he's gonna be a first overall pick necessarily. I mean, you look at the past 10 first overall picks, um, and I mean, discluding Yakupov, they're all pretty incredible players. And I
Yeah.
just don't think Lafreniere is like at that level yet.
No.
He could
Yeah.
prove me wrong and have an excellent season next year, great postseason, whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm still sticking by my call with he's not the best first overall
Yeah.
pick.
I mean,
So.
yeah, definitely. We won't get on it too long because we're running out of time. But yes, we'll stop talking about him. But I agree with that. He needs to have a good season next year. But back to what we were saying, President's Trophy brings into me though is the question of the curse of the President's Trophy. Would you want I don't know, as a Sharks fan, I've seen them win the President's Trophy and I watched them lose the first round. Just watch Boston do the same exact thing. They had a historic season and lost in the first round. It's happened time and time before. Happened to the Panthers this year before, season before last. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's like they're buzzing so hard right now, but every time I've seen it, these teams, especially out of the East, where it's such a stacked conference, I don't know. Do you think this team can beat that curse of the President's Trophy?
I just think at least the first round, yes. I I think they should make it past the first round. There's just such a dominant team this year. I mean, the Bruins were last year, but there was definitely some flaws in terms of age and whatnot. The Bruins are
Yeah,
good again this year. I mean,
there
no slack on the Bruins. The Bruins could still pull off the President's Trophy too.
they could.
But I think that if the Rangers keep flying hot into the playoffs postseason, because right now they're 8-2-0 in their last 10. I mean, if
Yeah,
they keep that up, I think they should carry it into the postseason. And they're just looking like the best team in the East right now. So
yeah,
I don't think the curse is necessarily going to be on them. Will they win the Stanley Cup? I think that's up for discussion. It's so hard to say who's going to
yeah.
win the Stanley Cup right now.
There's no, yeah,
Um, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna affect them too much this year.
yeah. Okay, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's so hard with that, and like you said, predicting the Stanley Cup. People try to ask me like, "Who's your pick?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Well, I'll say the Panthers because I want them to win, but there's truly so much that can go on in a playoff hockey series that it's the hardest trophy to win. The Stanley Cup, I've said this time and time, it is the hardest championship to win across all sports.
Oh,
Super Bowl,
100%.
you got 1 game. We got 4 games. But to go through a 7-game series of that much physicality too, like hockey, like you've seen it, playoff hockey is way more physical than regular season hockey.
Yeah,
Not as much fighting,
100%.
but I think it's the
I
hardest trophy
I
to
mean,
win.
there's still a decent amount of fighting for sure. It
There
just
is.
depends on the series.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's definitely more tight knit and
yeah,
I'd say closer games. So there's
yeah.
not as much fighting, but
Mhm.
I just think with the storyline the Rangers have this year, and they have a one of the best enforcers in the league, as we've seen. Matt Rempe is pretty damn good.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think they got some grit too, especially after that big
Yeah.
brawl they had last week
Oh,
too.
yeah. Mhm. Big time. Yeah. Did we even talk about that? I don't even think we talked about that last episode.
No, I don't think we
Yeah.
did. I think it was right like maybe the night after our
Yeah.
episode lost.
It's all old news now. It was on the live, if you missed that. Settle Down Live every Thursday, 8 PM. But it was on there. We talked about it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Honestly, President's Trophy race is still pretty tight. I mean, yeah, like you said, the Bruins could potentially win. But
I mean, or even
next,
the Stars too. Stars got 107 points, so they could be a sneaky
that
team
would
to win
be
that Prez trophy.
sneaky presidents. Yeah, could happen. Um, yeah, I think the next moving on to the West, I think that that race is not as tight as the East, obviously. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We've talked about this before about Vegas and whether or not they're going to even make the playoffs. Also, Tomas Hertl makes his start tonight with the Golden Knights against the Canucks tonight.
I
Best
did see
wishes to
that.
him, but no wishes at all to the Knights for that. I won't get into that because I could go on forever. But I mean, the team that's behind them right now is the Blues. They're the only one realistically able to catch them. So unless the Knights just fall apart and lose the rest of the 5 games, 6 games they have left.
Yeah. I think they're slotted in to make the playoffs at least. But
Yeah,
my biggest question is like they're only 1 point behind the Kings in the for the third divisional. And
that is
that's
true.
gonna be I mean, in the Knights perspective or the Kings perspective, you're either gonna be playing the Oilers or you're gonna be playing the Stars, most likely the Stars. Um, so I'd probably say out of those two teams, I mean, if I'm either one of them, I'd probably say I'd like to play the Oilers more,
Yeah.
even though they have such a star-studded roster too. I
They
mean, those are
haven't
two. Yeah, both of those matchups are still a little
yeah,
difficult, but definitely prefer. I mean, Edmonton over the Dallas Stars, just because Dallas is
yeah,
definitely the best team in the West this regular season. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I think Vegas might slot in for that 3 spot though, just knowing Vegas and how
yeah.
slippery they are.
No, that's true. I could see them moving in there. I mean, I also wouldn't be shocked though if the LTIR Knights were able to, kind of slip in and upset the Stars if they do play them in the wild card game.
Yeah,
Um,
I
I
mean
could
it's
see
crazy
that.
to think like the second wild card could potentially be the team to beat. I mean, in a way, I mean
Yeah,
they've been so dominant in the postseason. They had an excellent postseason and won the Stanley Cup last year.
yep.
So
And I'm
in a way,
sure
they
I'm
kind of
sure
are the
Mark
team
Stone will
to
be
beat.
back. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, they are.
and I mean, they still have basically the same roster as they did last year, so,
If not more,
um
they have more.
yeah, they have more. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, on paper, the Knights have one of the best rosters in the league. So
Yeah.
it's going to be very interesting to see how that fizzles out and how the Knights kind of perform because they're looking pretty good, 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. So if they can carry on that success to the playoffs, watch out for the Knights.
Yeah, no, for real. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up our playoff talk. We're getting into a little, I guess you could say, game up next. But yeah, I mean, we got 8 days when this episode comes out till the season is over. We will be moving to 2 episodes a week once playoffs start. Give you guys all the coverage. It'll be shorter episodes, just covering playoff talk. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. If you follow us, if you don't follow us yet, follow us on Good Old Hockey Podcast on Instagram. All the stuff will be there, all the updates and everything. But with that being said, we're going to talk about the best playoff atmosphere in each division. Now, I think this could be tough because it really does depend on what round you're in. And also, I don't know. I have a bias in the Pacific Division. I know you do as well. Because have you been doing? I'm sure you've been to it.
Yeah, I've been to a Flames playoff game. It's electric. I don't know if I'd pick them though. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll get into
I don't.
it, but
We'll get into
we're
it.
gonna start off with the Atlantic
Yep.
division. We'll start out with the East Coast. We got the Bruins, Panthers, Leafs, Lightning, Wings, Sabres, Senators, and Canadiens. Which the Canadiens are last in division. They're not going to make the playoffs this year,
No.
but like holy shit, I think it's a hard argument between. I mean, these are all there's. I mean, the Bruins, Leafs. Even the Wings, Canadiens too. I mean, we got 4 original 6 teams, so that's like really freaking hard between those 4 teams. But I don't know what's your pick for this one?
I think now are we talking all time or just like this season in particular? Like this
We're gonna talk all time.
Okay. If we were talking like this season in particular, if the Wings make it, I'd give it to the Red Wings because they've been out of the playoffs for a while and their fans are just itching for that. And it's going to be electric there if they do make it. But honestly, from what I've heard, I've never been to this game, but Montreal Canadiens are freaking loud. So are the Bruins. I'll give Bruins honorable mention, but I'm going to go with the Canadiens.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Montreal too. I just think they have such a storied franchise there and their fans are passionate like no other. No offense to Leafs fans.
Yep.
But we haven't seen them make it past the first round a lot of the time. So I feel like it might be kind of hard to judge them.
Yeah, if they've only got 3 games played in the playoffs
But I mean, shit, dude. I mean, the Canadiens fans are unbelievable. They have one of the biggest arenas in the league, and I just feel like seeing it's hard to beat a Canadian playoff atmosphere.
Yep.
I think between all these teams, it's probably got to be like between Canadians and the Leafs, which is so weird to say the Bruins and Wings aren't in that conversation, but just that Canada aspect. But I mean, the Canadiens, I feel like the whole city of Montreal shuts down for those games. Like it's a big deal. And like I've seen outside of both the Leafs Stadium and the Montreal Canadiens Stadium, there's a fuck ton of fans every playoff game. So I think we're both fair to say the Canadiens. Some people might come at us for this though.
Who cares? I mean, like I said, I'll give Boston their flowers because of the recent success, and it's the fact that it's Boston. That place does get rocking. But I'm gonna stay with Montreal. They haven't had a whole lot of success besides maybe COVID year, but yeah, I'm confident in that Montreal pick though. But next one, the Metro. This one's a little bit tougher. Let's see. We've got the Rangers, the Devils, the Penguins, the Flyers,
Islanders, Hurricanes, Capitals, and the Blue Jackets.
Oh my god! I forgot they're in the Metro.
Yeah, they're in the Metro.
Oh my god, I forgot they existed.
So this one's a little bit more difficult.
This one is like,
it's not more difficult than the Atlantic. I feel the Atlantic might be the most difficult division to say what's the best playoff atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it would be hard to.
This one's hard because there's no clear cut. Like in the Atlantic, you've got 3 clear cut picks that are all like across the entire NHL. Most of those teams are in the Atlantic that you would pick. But
I know.
For the Metro, it's tough because like we've never been to these games, so here's what we see on TV or hear on TV. I know Madison Square Garden gets pretty rocking, but I'm gonna go with the Penguins because of their
Okay.
recent success,
Okay. Yeah,
and
I
I
think
feel
I
like
think the Pens is a good pick. For me, I feel like out of any of these teams, and I feel like some people are definitely going to come at me because I'm picking them over the Rangers, but I'd say the Islanders. I think the Islanders
mm,
playoff
yeah, yeah,
atmosphere is rocking. I feel like you have some gritty fans there.
yep,
It's in New York. It's
mhm,
a small barn. I just feel like that place has got to be so cool and memorable to see a playoff hockey game. And those fans get behind their team like no other. I mean,
yeah,
there's no other teams in Long Island. So
yep,
I feel like the Islanders just barely by a hair would probably beat out the Rangers for me.
yeah, no, I'd give it to that. Yeah, no, I'm okay with those picks.
This is a
Um,
tough game, though. This is
it
a really
is,
tough
it
game.
is tough. Central Division, and it's also hard because we've never been to these games.
Yeah.
Once we've been to
Yeah.
all the playoff games, and down the line when we've been to every single game from this podcast, but then we can say confidently these answers. But it's tough because we only get what we get. But
Yeah.
for the Central, I feel
Yeah.
like
We got the
let's see.
Stars, the Avs, the Jets, the Predators, the Blues, the Wild, Coyotes, and then, of course, the Blackhawks.
Yeah, see,
This
I've
one's
got
hard.
this one is very hard.
This one's difficult, man.
I want to give it to Chicago because of their record. Like, I'm pretty sure they have one of the loudest NHL arenas.
Yeah, and they have
Um,
one of the biggest NHL
yeah,
arenas
that
too.
too.
I mean, I don't think it's called it might is it called the United
United.
Center still? I
Yep,
think it's still
I
the
think so.
United Center.
That's what I know it as.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard for me to leave off Winnipeg too. I feel like Winnipeg is like such a great atmosphere too. That whiteout, they have had some attendance issues this year, so
Yeah,
probably not going to pick them. But for me, it's hard to say it's not the Blackhawks because they have had recent success. They haven't
they have.
always been in the cellar like they are this
See,
year. Um,
this might be a surprise pick, but give me Smashville. They have a whole
okay,
name. Like they have the Smashville was created in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. The term Smashville, right? Like when they
yeah.
always beat up that car. I think that's playoff time. They don't do that in the regular season.
Yeah, they don't. You know what? I think I'd have to.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hop on your pick. I hate to give it not to the
I know.
Blackhawks because they have such a good atmosphere there. But yeah, I mean, as of recent, since the Predators have became a thing, especially after their Cup run, I think
Yeah,
Nashville is one of the best places to see an NHL game, sporting event, best city to visit.
yeah,
I love Nashville as a city, so I'm gonna be biased on this one. And
yeah,
sorry, Blackhawks fans, but yeah,
yeah.
it's got to be the
I'm giving it
Predators.
to Smashville.
Yeah,
Give
Bridgestone
it to
Arena
'em.
is awesome, man. I mean,
Yeah,
just the
that too.
traditions they have there, the
Yeah,
chanting. I feel like I'm in a soccer game in Europe, so
yeah.
it's pretty amazing.
No, it is. Yeah, I went to the season opener this year, and that game was electric as shit. So that was a home opener too. Like it wasn't anything super crazy. They're playing the Seattle Kraken. That place gets rocking, and I would love to go to a playoff game there. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So we're gonna give it to the Nashville Predators out of Smashville. All right, next up is the Pacific Division. Um, for loudest playoff environment, we've got the Sharks, we've got the Knights, we've got the Kings, we've got the Ducks, we've got the Calgary Flames, we've got the Oilers, we've got the Canucks, now the Kraken. Am I leaving everyone else off?
Oh, I
We
think
forgot to say
you got them
Coyotes
all.
last in the Central, I think.
Oh, we did.
Oh, that's okay. They may not be a
Oops.
team anymore, so who knows? Sorry, Tyler. But
Shots,
yeah.
shots.
But the Pacific, this one's really tough. I've been
Yeah,
to a Sharks hockey game, playoff game, so they're high up for me just in terms of how loud it was there. But I don't know. I've been to a Knights playoff game, and honestly, the hype was not it for me.
really,
No,
really. I feel
I've
like it
been,
might be kind of a TV thing. I haven't been in a Knights playoff game. I've been to a Knights game, and it's pretty hype. I
yeah,
just feel like there's a lot of not as much diehard fans. I feel like some of the Knights fans come around
correct.
once they start making the conference final or
Yeah. No,
Stanley Cup. I
okay.
feel like
We
that's
were,
kind of how it is in
yeah.
Vegas. But
I was in, it was the third round. It was against the Stars last year, and it was game 5. They were up 3-1 to the Stars, and I don't know, maybe it was just a bias to me because I don't like the Knights. I was there because my Zooch was he's a big Knights fan, and we wanted to go to a game. I had a lot of fun. We paid like $40 for 2 drinks, which is absurd, but, um, I don't know, it just wasn't like, they had their whole pregame thing with the Knight coming out and their little gimmicky show, which is part of Vegas, like, I get it, it's cool, but it just wasn't like that loud playoff atmosphere like I thought it would be, you know?
Yeah, and I just feel like with Vegas, there's so much going on there. There's
That
people
too.
losing a bunch of money like me and all
Yep.
sorts of shit going on. I mean, there's all sorts of shit going on in Vegas every night.
Yeah.
So I feel like the Knights is just like complimentary to the city of Vegas. And, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I'm not saying they have bad fans or anything, but
No.
just the atmosphere compared to somewhere like Calgary or Edmonton or Vancouver, it's gonna be hard to beat. And I'm gonna be really biased on this one. And I think everyone saw it coming. I'm going to Calgary Flames
Yeah.
all the way. I've been to
They
some
are.
playoff games there,
Yeah.
and for anyone that's, "Oh, Cali, you're a Flames fan, blah, 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 this and that," I'd say the Saddle Dome gets so rocking. The sea of red comes out. There's not a
Yeah.
single speck of non-red anywhere in the arena, which is pretty breathtaking.
Yep.
It's so loud too. It's a Canadian atmosphere, but also there's the Red Mile. After all the games the Flames win, especially after series wins, there is thousands of people on 17th Street in Calgary, and it gets rocking down there. If
And
anyone wants to have a fun
yeah.
Google search up the Red Mile. It got rocking in 2004.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit rocking in the past, but yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, Calgary's amazing. I've been to a round two, game three, playoff game against the Ducks. Not a single Ducks fan there. And it was a sea of red. I've
Yeah.
never seen that much red in my life, and it was incredible.
Damn.
Never forget that. So
Dude, you're making me wanna go to a playoff game this year. Just, like, thinking like, I was just thinking about this and, like, I'm just thinking of, just the atmosphere.
I know, dude.
It'd be so fun, but money's kinda tight, and I just don't, If anyone wants
Oh,
to
is it?
sponsor us for a game, we'll vlog it for you guys. Shoot us a DM, email at stoville@settledownmedia.com or just my regular at Gmail. Hey, send us to a game. We'll promote you guys, do whatever, but yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
what's
know,
your pick for
honestly.
for this
My
division?
pick for the Pacific, I could go biased. I feel like I have to because this is the only one I've actually been to, an actual atmosphere besides the Knights. I'm not picking the Knights. I'm gonna give it to the Sharks. They're
Bold.
yeah, they're I know as of right now, they're not gonna make the playoffs for another couple years, but maybe more than that. But who, you know, there's something about going there and they got the chomp going during the playoffs when power play, anything like just the how loud that arena is also pretty small. It holds 17,000. It's not one of the bigger ones, but boy does it get loud. Bay Area is kind of known for their wishy-washy fans, clearly, because of where they're at right now in the playoffs or in the standings, and they can't even fill their arena anymore. But when it is playoff time and the Sharks are in it, it's something else. It's so freaking loud. Like, I don't know. You can't even hear yourself think. But I'm sure a lot of playoff atmospheres that we've never been to are just like that. So these are just our picks. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a solid list in terms of, the Pacific we're going to disagree on, but from Atlantic down to the Central, I feel like was a pretty unbiased picks from us.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
Yeah.
It's
So
probably
I
gonna
think,
cause some controversy with our
yeah,
picks though, especially the Atlantic. I mean, the Atlantic was so difficult, man.
it
Like
is
I
tough,
said, there's 4 teams on there that are just
deserving. Yeah, they are deserving.
deserving of it.
I think
Same
my
with even the Central too
yeah,
is difficult. I mean, we
Central's
didn't
tough
even
too.
talk about the Stars or Avs.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think honestly though, out of all those, my favorite pick outside of the Pacific, we'll get out of there because we got our own biases. But I think Smashville was my favorite pick for us in terms of loudest. Just their whole gimmick there, and Nashville's a cool city, and
I guess which
we got
one
a
are you
fan.
going with? Are you going at for Nashville as the best in the league?
I couldn't give it best in the league. Ugh.
I'm probably still sticking with Montreal.
Yeah,
I just
I
feel
think
like that's
overall
a hard place
it is.
to miss how diehard those fans are and just
Mhm.
how diehard that city is behind the
Yeah,
Canadians. I just feel like that's so hard to beat.
yeah,
And to be
no, it is.
fair, Boston has they got the Celtics, they got the
They do.
Patriots. I mean, they win a lot. So I feel like
They
when
do.
the Bruins are doing good, it's like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, they got someone else to root for. Or the
Yeah.
Red Sox. Yeah. So one or the other, but Montreal, it's all Montreal there. So yeah, I'd give it to them as a number one. But that wraps it up. We've got, like I said, 8 days till the season is over. The next episode we'll be wrapping up NHL season, maybe talking a little most improved player, maybe a little breakdown of the season or just the playoffs in general. We'll get into some playoff hockey, which I am very, 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 very excited for.
Oh yeah.
I want to do some live streaming for it. If you're down, Gal, I know you're gonna be moving closer,
Oh yeah.
but set up the camera I got right here in the living room in front of the TV, and we're just betting on some games, especially in the first round. We got a
Yeah.
whole
You guys
lot of
can
games
watch
to
me
pick
lose
from.
some money.
Yeah, watch us the pain and the excitement of the playoffs. And yeah, it'll be a good time. But with that being said, I mean, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you're following us on all the platforms.
Oh
We
yeah.
got our what's it called? Little @ right over there underneath Galley. And then also if you're listening, it's @ Settle Down Media for the main page, and then also @ Good Old Hockey Podcast on Instagram and X. Go follow us there. Get all the updates so you know in a loop.
Yeah. And we are going to do a bracket challenge just like we did for
Yep.
March Madness. We're going to be doing that for the NHL. So stay
Mhm.
tuned for that. We're still coming up with a sick prize. Like I
Yep.
said, me and Sean are both a little tight on money, but
Yeah.
we'll get something sick in
Oh,
the
something.
works. And
Yeah.
excited for everyone to join that again. And
Yeah.
we are really shooting for just as many hockey fans from all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't care if you hate us or hate our takes or love us.
Yeah.
I want you to be in this, and if you
Yeah.
win it, you're gonna get the prize, and we're still figuring that out. So
Yeah.
stay
Well,
tuned.
we'll let you know
All Good
next
Old Hockey
episode.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Follow us. So
Yep.
stay tuned for that.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know next episode in terms of the giveaway and also like how to enter. But that being said, you got to go follow us to see all that stuff. So go to Good Old Hockey Podcast, go follow us, give us a follow. We're at 200 followers already. Gally started it 2 weeks ago? So
Yeah,
get on this train before it's too late. But with that being said, Gally, it's been a pleasure. We'll talk next week and talk some more hockey. And who knows, we maybe have a whole different shakeup in terms of the playoff tree. So
Oh yeah.
we will see you guys next episode, and stay frosty, whatever that means.
Out of here.
I just thought of it. Little ice,